Good evening. I feel weird sitting in this seat. This is our first meeting for Westfield City Council for the year 2024. A lot of new faces up there on the bench. It's good to see everybody this evening. If I get everybody to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll follow with a prayer from Pastor John Lowe of North Circle Church.
Lord, we bow in your presence tonight. We're thankful for the time to come together, and every new year, our focus and our minds and our hearts is on new beginnings. But this year especially, God, with all of the new council members and the new mayor, we have this fresh slate. We have this blank page in front of us that we get to create new, and so we're thankful for that. And God, may we never forget that we lead organizations that lead and affect people. And so we're grateful for that opportunity. We're grateful for that honor to serve. And Lord, thank you for this room that we're able to be in tonight to talk about and to make decisions that affect our future as a city. And so, God, we recognize the honor. We pray all of this in the name of Jesus, and thank you for it. Amen.
Marla, would you like to note the presence of a quorum, please?
Will do. John Dart.
Yes.
Joe Deppner.
Here.
Noah Herron.
Here.
Chad Huff.
Here. Victor
McCarty.
Here.
Patrick Tam.
Here.
Kurt Waninger.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. First item on the agenda this evening is election of the council president and vice president. I'll open up the floor for nominations for council president.
I make a motion to elect Patrick Tam as president of the 2024 Westfield City Council.
Any other nominations? Floor is closed. We'll do do we need to do a roll call on that? Or can we just do a, oh yeah, we need a second on that, don't we? Sorry about that.
I second.
Okay, first Kurt Waninger, second Chad Huff. All right, assuming the floor is closed. All right, do we need to do a roll on that, or can we just do a?
That's what we have.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the roll call then.
Okay. Joe Deppner.
Yes.
Noah Herron.
Yes.
Chad Huff.
Yes.
Victor McCarty.
Yes.
Patrick Tam.
Yes.
Kurt Waninger. John Dart.
Yes.
The motion passes for council president 7-0.
All right, I'll open up nominations for vice president.
I nominate Councilor John Dart.
We have a second?
Second.
Any other nominations? The floor is closed. Marla, would you call the roll?
Noah Herron.
Yes.
Chad Huff.
Yes.
Victor McCarty.
Yes.
Patrick Tam.
Yes.
Kurt Waninger.
Yes.
John Dart.
Yes.
Joe Deppner.
Yes.
Motion was made by Patrick Tam, seconded by Noah Herron, passes 7-0.
Great. And in typical Westfield tradition, we're a Class 3 city. Technically, the mayor runs the council, but I'm going to pass that off to the new council president, Councilor Tam. Would you like to take control of the meeting, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First order of business is the council appointments to boards and commissions. It's available in your document. While technically we don't need to vote, would entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the election of the council appointments.
Second.
All in favor, please, motion by aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to announce any changes to the agenda. For those of you present for item 2401, with regards to annexation, I want to make sure that people in the audience know that the adoption consideration is not tonight. We're required by law to let that sit for 14 days. We will obviously be taking public testimony, but wanted to make sure we have a printed version that says one date and the other, so it'll be up for potential consideration on January 29th, our next scheduled meeting. The We do need to approve minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from December 27th.
Second.
Motion made by Victor McCarty, seconded by John Dart. How are you voting? Mr. McCarty?
Yes.
Patrick Tam?
Yes.
Kurt Wanninger?
Yes.
John Dart?
Yes.
Joe Deppner?
Yes.
Noah Herron?
Yes.
Chad Huff?
Yes.
Minutes are approved, 7-0.
Thank you, Marla. Claims, approval for claims for January 8th, 2024. Is there any conversation or comments?
I'd just like to thank Marla for meeting with me and going through line by line all the different items, because the first time you see it, it's a lot to look at. There's been the descriptions on some of the items, it's hard as a counselor right off the bat to understand what you're looking at. So hopefully we can work with some of the staff members to button that down to understand it a little bit more going forward. But other than that, I'd just like to thank Marla for meeting with me and going through it.
I would like to echo that. Marla, thanks for answering my lengthy email that I sent you with all the questions. Appreciate that and kind of sharing that with the other council members of the responses, so appreciate that. As I mentioned, those will probably be a lot of questions every time, but that's our job, so I appreciate your diligence and quick response to that as well. Thank you.
And in the spirit of transparency, we're more than happy to work with the clerk treasurer's office to create line items that provide a little bit better transparency to what the claim is actually for. I can tell you when I was on city council, it's very confusing at times. And we're happy to sit down with you, with the clerk treasurer, and add as many lines as we need to provide transparency to both you and our residents on what we're spending dollars on.
And Mr. Mayor, I do appreciate too that your department heads and so forth working with the clerk treasurer's office moving forward, which I know you're committed to doing so. So just making sure those processes constantly improve throughout the year. We thank you.
Marla, for clarification, what is the timeline for the claims? Is it a 30-day claims that are being submitted? Is it how often do you see the claims? I guess that's my question.
Oh, you'll see them every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks?
Because you're having a meeting.
Yep.
So we have to run those claims dockets before, preceding your meeting. Are you asking about how long before a meeting that we run those claims?
I just wanted to know how often you see them. So you see them every 2 weeks, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
every 2 weeks. Expense reports typically should be done about every week, but they don't come all together until we run that claims docket.
Okay. So there are opportunities to improve the process.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
We do need to approve the claims on tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
Second.
Patrick Tam,
Yes.
Kurt Wanninger,
Yes.
John Dart,
Yes.
Joe Deppner,
Yes.
Noah Herron,
Yes.
Chad Huff,
Yes.
Victor McCarty.
Yes.
Claims passed, 7-0.
Thank you, Marla. You'll see a couple changes on the agenda this evening, and you'll continue to see some council changes as we work with our new city attorney, Caitlin Glazer, which we're ecstatic to have at our disposal. You will see public comment at the beginning of the meeting for anyone that wants to address the council on any topic that is not conducting a public hearing. If you are here to address an item on the agenda for a public hearing, we humbly ask for you to speak during that time period, but we are moving public comments to the beginning of the meeting as we are this evening. You do have 3 minutes to address the council. I believe the public participation rules were posted at the front door as well. They'll be constantly available as well. On the 29th, you will see council rules very similar to other city councils throughout central Indiana as well, as we work to improve when and where and how public agendas are made available, which also improves the lives, if you will, of department heads as well as counselors as well. But most importantly, the public will see those agendas. Our goal is to get those out sooner That will be a little bit of a process, so bear with us on that time period. But anyone that would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda this evening is welcome to come up at this time. You do have 3 minutes, so thank you. Do we have anyone signed up, Kevin? Okay, thank you. Moving along, if no one else would like to address the council, we do have a matter of old business, ordinance 2401, annexing certain real estate to the city of Westfield. This is a voluntary annexation. It is one property owner. The mayor is here this evening to speak more about this, which I'll turn that over to the mayor for his presentation as well.
Thank you, Councilor Tam, appreciate it. So, council members, this is an old project that's coming back to you all for consideration. Just a few bullet points, and then I'll answer any questions you may have. This is a 100% voluntary annexation. It's a very unique parcel in that approximately 2/5 to half of the land is in Westfield, Washington Township, which we control zoning rights for, and the other half, or a little over half, 3/5, is in Adams. So a consolidation of the land makes sense purely from a utilities, a public safety perspective. Having this land under one jurisdiction is the right thing to do moving forward. The petitioner, as I mentioned, had approached the city probably roughly 3 years ago about this project. There currently is no specific development plan that has been presented to the city. If the annexation is approved, this is step one of what will be a lengthy, probably 90 to 180-day process that will involve the city vetting the project, and then once the city is comfortable, would put it through the normal zoning process with council and APC review. There's a lot of rumors out there about what Westfield's doing around annexation. The city has not reached out to a single landowner in either Adams or Jackson Township, ever. And that's not on my radar screen anytime in the near future. This was a landowner approaching the city. It's contiguous to our current boundaries. And as I talked at nauseam on the campaign trail, US 31 is a very important corridor for the city of Westfield and would be a commercial development and opportunity for the residents. I'll also add to it, from Adams Township's perspective, this would be a tax benefit for them as well, because this is, the Adams Township portion is in Sheridan School District. So any commercial development that occurs at that location, any referendum dollars that Sheridan places on their school district, that entity would have to pay. So it would benefit the city of Sheridan as well. And with that, I'll yield back to you, Patrick Tim.
Thank you, Mayor. Got to push buttons. Thank you, Mayor. For those that are here to publicly provide testimony or comments.
Yeah, we currently have 2 cards. Randall Sheehy.
And President, you'll want to open the public hearing before.
Thank you. Public hearing's open at 7:13.
Good evening, Randall Sheehy, 1223 Forest Hills Drive here in Westfield in the Chatham Hills subdivision. First of all, Mr. Mayor, congrats. City council members, congrats on your positions. And thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight regarding ordinance 24-01. I recognize it's early in the process. There's several steps involved. My understanding, excuse me, from all of the research I've done, all the publicly available information, correspondence I've had with city leaders, is that the vision for this development would be an industrial park similar in nature to North Point. And I can appreciate the need for commercial development here in Westfield for our tax base and for all the business reasons. But I also see the need, and I know all of you share this, is the vision for smart development. And I look at that corridor as such an extremely valuable piece of real estate for our city. It's the gateway to our city to the north. And when I look at the vision, Mr. Mayor, that you laid out about other cities, Carmel, and many others around the country that you named in your address on YouTube January 1st. I don't look at those cities, and I've been to nearly all of them. I don't see industrial parks as the gateway to those cities, nor do I see it lining the corridor, the main artery, US 31. So I would ask the city council to take all of that into consideration. And it was mentioned by the last city council, why would we look at putting an industrial park across from some of our most valuable residential real estate? So we're making a decision to annex land, yet the real purpose of that land and the plan for it has not been shared up to this point. Again, I realize there's multiple steps in the process, but we need to have full transparency here and make sure we're taking all of this into consideration. We don't need to be in a rush to rezone land. This also, I want to note, is owned by Shear Property Group. Anybody that wants to research Shear Property Group will see they're an industrial developer, clearly mentioned on their website. So thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Good evening.
Thank you for being here. We greatly appreciate your comments. Kevin?
And then Erica Strom.
Erica Strom, 14701 Melbourne Court. I wanted to echo your sentiments, and then I also wanted to quickly state, in the annexation reform of 2015, let me get to the right page here. It says, reorganization states that the annexation territory cannot be in a township that is currently a participant in a reorganization. Is Adams Township currently in a reorganization? I believe they are. So are we even allowed to annex this land anyway? Is a question I would hope that you guys would look into before you move forward. And that's all I wanted to point out. I'm just interested in, I believe Westfield for many years has been kind of not doing things the right way. And it's important to me that we have a new administration now, that we are following Indiana code and doing things the right way and not skipping steps like we've done in the past. So that was just something in my research that I came upon that I'd like for you guys to look into to make sure we can even annex it. Whether the landowner wants to do it or not, are we allowed to if Adams Township is going through a reorganization? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Strum. We appreciate you being here this evening. So that we have no other public comments from anyone that would like to address. Sir, if you'd like to step forward.
Hi, I'm Ron Lancer. I live at 10522 East 206th Street, Noblesville. I can probably maybe shed some light on this. My mother-in-law has 600 acres up in Adams Township. I have been going to both Adams Township reorganization meetings and Jackson Township. I guess I just want to get up here and let you know the folks up there are not in favor of Westfield crossing the boundaries. I have also learned that this parcel that's coming up, we really do not have a leg to stand on at this point because the reorganization has not been completed as of yet. Yes, Adams Township is in the process. They're looking at best, maybe November, getting it on the ballot to move forward with it to shut the door on any more annexations. Jackson Township is right behind them. So I guess I know there's not much any of us can do at this point, but I guess you got some folks here from Westfield that are kind of against it. So maybe between both of us, we can kind of maybe throttle this thing down a little bit, but I don't know that we can stop it. But I'd like to see us stop it at that point if we can. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being here. Sir, if you could also help Kevin, Chris is going to bring that just so we have your information for the record. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience that would like to talk about this topic to the council? Thank you. So that closes our public hearing at 7:19 this evening. We will move to new business. These are not up for consideration. They're just simple introductions. We do have council sponsors, but then also introductions and descriptions by individuals with the city administration appropriately. So for new business, ordinance 2407, which is establishing the position of deputy mayor pursuant to Indiana code. We have our city attorney, Caitlin Glazier, doing a brief conversation about this. This is very similar to what you see throughout all of central Indiana with regards to deputy mayors. But Caitlin, if you could further explain.
Of course, so the position of deputy mayor does not automatically exist, but the Indiana code gives the city and the council specifically the ability to create this position by ordinance. It's a pretty simple statute. It's basically everything that's incorporated there in the ordinance. The deputy mayor is appointed by the mayor and serves at the pleasure of the mayor. And also just to note that if you do create this position, that doesn't mean that it's automatically filled. It is just a position that is created and the mayor has the ability to fill that position. If the mayor is absent, ill, or injured pursuant to statute, he may designate his duties to the deputy mayor or to a member of the council. There's a limit on this. So if he is just absent or ill, the powers can only be exercised for 15 days for every 60-day period. But if there is a vacancy in the office, because the position is held by a major political party, then a caucus is held. That's a whole procedure, but in the interim, the deputy mayor could assume those powers. And if there is no deputy mayor, it would be the council president in a third-class city. So that's just kind of explaining some of the reasons you might want a deputy mayor, filling in when he's gone or sick, or if there is a vacancy before a caucus can be held. And as you said, this is a common thing among larger cities around this area.
Thank you, Ms. Glazier, for that helpful description. Moving on to ordinance 2408, which is establishing the Department of Parks and Recreation and Board. With us this evening is Chris McConnell, our Parks and Recreation Superintendent, which he'll talk about some of the great things that we're able to do once we establish this.
Evening, councilors, mayor. Again, Chris McConnell, Parks and Recreation Superintendent for the city of Westfield. So we're bringing this ordinance to establish a Parks Board and a Parks Department for a number of reasons. First of all, the ordinance follows Indiana Code 3610 and sets up a board and a department. The board is made up of 4 mayoral appointees and 1 appointee from the school system. And then we're doing this specifically to, number 1, capture more or qualify to capture more state and federal funding. There's the Land and Water Conservation Act out there, as well as, let's say, the Next Level Trails Grant, Next Level Conservation Grant. All of those things are out there, and without a Parks Board, we just don't qualify for them. And even if they would consider us because we don't have a board, we wouldn't score as high in that consideration. As far as a Parks Department, it does already exist. It just exists as a part of the Public Works Department at the time being. So we have 4 staff members, myself, a Grand Junction coordinator, a maintenance foreman, and a maintenance laborer, but we're existing under the Public Works Department. So moving us out obviously produces more transparency and allows the public to see the dollars that are spent on parks and what they go towards.
Any questions or conversation from any members of the council?
That's okay. So this is just a little bit of oversight or a high-level overview of what we would qualify for and the dollars that were given out both by the federal government as well as the state government last year. Now, this doesn't mean we would get $31 million. That would be fantastic. But we would at least qualify for a share of that.
We would be in a competitive process and be able
Yes,
to compete.
Absolutely.
Do park impact fees, like, will that be separated into your budget, or?
Yeah, the park impact fees will be still collected and controlled by the Parks Board.
By the Parks Board, okay.
As I understand it, there would be no new headcount?
No, not at this time.
Okay, so establishing the board with the appointees, Obviously, that would need to be done, but you've got the headcount to effectively manage.
We have the headcount to do the job we're doing currently.
What else in your mind do you believe needs to be done over and above? If you were to develop world-class?
So to give you a little bit of an idea, we've been operating with the same staff for about the last 6 years. And it's becoming increasingly difficult to meet the needs of a growing community. If we're really going to look at raising our level to the expectation of the community, we're going to have to, at some point in time, look at adding more staff.
Any specific areas that come to mind?
Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, council members and mayor. We will be adding headcount to the Parks Department, and that will be part of your salary ordinance on the next item of agenda, just to create a landscape manager and potential.
So I can answer the specifics on this.
On that one, yeah.
So not only does the Parks Department operate all of our parks and all of our trails, but we also maintain all of our city green spaces. So that's roughly off the top of my head, almost 200 acres of road right-of-way, all of the roundabouts that you see, that's part of our purview. So one of the things we really need to do, one of the positions we need to add is a landscape manager to help better oversee and monitor the maintenance of those items. We're also, per the mayor's wishes, would like to add a program manager so we can do a better job of providing more recreational and social programs to our list, to our community, so we can better serve them. We need to add another laborer. We're operating with one laborer and one maintenance foreman, and we're taking care of 400 acres of parks, 14 miles of trails, and we assist Westfield Welcome with this coming year up to 60 individual events at Grand Junction Plaza alone. And then lastly would be a park manager, and that's to take some of the load off of my back because we have a rental program. We have a lot of different things that need someone's daily oversight, and my time is already very filled with other things.
Another point that I'll add as well, it's likely we're going to engage the township in conversations around consolidation of the parks. So the township has parks, the city has parks, and I'm not sure that's the most efficient use of taxpayer dollars. I believe, and Daniel will be able to answer, I think at one time they were consolidated and then they were broke up, and now we're looking at bringing them back. So my vision long-term, and it's not going to happen tomorrow, it's going to take a lot of engagement between myself, my office, and the township trustee. But to, again, efficient use of taxpayer dollars, all parks under one umbrella. And we're not just servicing the city of Westfield, we're servicing the township. Because when you think about keeping up with the growth of Westfield, if we wait till it's part of the city of Westfield, they're probably not going to become a park because land values skyrocket and it becomes unaffordable. So being proactive and being able to reach out in some of our rural areas and lock in land for potential parks down the road is a smart strategy moving forward that would be facilitated by a consolidation effort.
Yeah, and for the record, John Nail, Director of Public Works, I just wanted to add that these positions that Chris had mentioned would be asked whether parks stayed under Public Works or it was a separate department. Either way, we'd be asking for these additional positions. Just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Jonathan, what's your feelings of moving parks out from under Public Works?
Oh, I think Chris is well suited to handle his own department. He's been doing it for several years now. So
yeah, that was kind of staging you for that one a little bit. When I did my tenure at the city, when they took parks away from me, I was ecstatic to give that to Melody Jones and let her manage those parks properly, because Public Works is great at maintaining roads and infrastructure and things like that. So I think it's important to have our parks under a director and have the proper insight on our facilities.
Any more comments or questions from council?
Just wanted to say that I'm excited for this opportunity. It's been needed for a long time, and obviously the benefit is there, looking at the possible dollars from federal and state. So I see this as only a benefit for our community.
Thank you, Mr. McConnell, for your presentation and your fine work as well, and particularly the members of your team as well. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Council.
This will be up for consideration January 29th. Moving along, ordinance 2409. amending ordinance 2316, which is the 2024 non-elected salary ordinance. With the presentation today is our new Chief of Staff that many of you are familiar with, Daniel Carey-Twellen. Daniel?
Pushed it off, sorry. Thank you, council members, for having me tonight. And yes, before you is the updated salary ordinance. It's amended just with some minor tweaks of addition headcounts that we are looking to add to our city staff, some things that are just going to be shipped around. You will get a new updated copy of that ordinance tomorrow, just adjusting some administration stuff, but nothing major. Any questions?
Can you make like a red line available for us so we can see
Yes.
the exact changes from the approved version?
Yes.
I second that with the red line versions, and I would suggest any ordinances that are existing that are being changed or any new proposed ordinances, if there are changes made between a first and a second reading, that those be redlined and available to the council members so we can see the changes that were made. So appreciate that.
Yeah, no pay grade or any changes in the pay grade on those, just maybe title changes will be happening.
Yeah, I think Councilor Waniger was also really talking about something we briefly chatted about. Even introductions, if we're making changes, just providing a red line version, which I know our city attorney loves doing, so.
She does it well.
That's how she lives, so that would be greatly appreciated. Not hearing any other comments, we'll move along to ordinance 2402, which is the Urban Apples PUD Amendment 3, which is really a simple sign ordinance, and I think Lauren Gillingham, our senior planner, is here this evening, and then Councilor.
Yeah, before that, I'll be recusing myself from this ordinance, any discussions, any voting on it. I'm a part owner in Urban Apples.
Thank you. Lauren?
Thank you, Mr. President. For the record, Lauren Gillingham, Senior Planner of the Community Development Department. So the item before you is just a pretty simple introduction of the Urban Apples PUD amendment. This is the third amendment to that PUD, and this is really just to hammer out what the signs are going to look like, the entrance signs. Yep, as you can see there. This item will have a public hearing at the February 5th APC meeting. And then, Kevin, if you scroll down. And then also to add, this will retain the established locations and plantings that were established in the original PUD. So that will not be changed, but it was re-referenced in this PUD. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So at the entrance, there's signs on either side of the entranceway. Is the sign going to be on both sides, or is it just on the one side? Is there going to be two posts or just one post at each side?
It will be on both sides, the same sign mirrored.
Okay.
Any other questions? We'll move along to city council comments. Any comments from anyone this evening?
I have one. The previous minutes with the last council and the DLGF and the non-DGL funding and the presentation, or there wasn't a presentation, but we did get some numbers back, and I would like some clarification from admin as quickly as you can, I guess, just to see exactly where you guys come back at on our 2024 budget, because right now there shows to be a deficit from one side, or the clerk treasurer's office. So I would like to see your guys' side, how you got to your number, and be able to look through it and whatnot, so.
I had to raise that, Laura. Yes, we're reviewing those numbers, and we will give you guys a report by the January 29th meeting. Any other?
And just to be clear, I was on council when those numbers were presented, so technically they're not my numbers, but we are going back and looking at those.
Yeah, it's the non-DGL, DLGF that like I want to learn a little bit more about, because the DLGF is online, I can see it, but the non-DLGF is it's a tough one, and there was supposed to be a presentation but never happened. I don't know if that's still a possibility to kind of see it. I would be interested in seeing something like that too.
Yeah, we are working with our financial advisors on those to make sure that we clear up those numbers and make sure that both the clerk treasurers and us are on the same page, and we'll rectify that for you guys.
Any other comments this evening? Real quick, on behalf of the fellow counselors, thank you for being here. You will see continuous changes to the agenda like we talked about earlier. We do want people to present. If you do have comments, that's part of the reason why we're moving public comments to the front of the meeting. But then also, we do look forward to a comprehensive review that the clerk treasurer and the former council did on ordinances and resolutions. That report is due to the clerk treasurer's office in March, but then also working through some how we utilize plan unit developments, comprehensive zoning, all those types of things are being worked with the mayor's office, which we greatly appreciate. But more importantly, we're very excited to get to work on behalf of all residents of Westfield, Indiana as well. Mayor, any comments?
I'll just simply say, great job in this first week by my staff and the new city council. It's drinking from a fire hose right now across multiple levels, and we're all learning very quickly. And it's been refreshing to work together, quite frankly. And the council's asking great questions, and we're doing the best we can to answer them as fast as we can and keep the ball moving. We have a heavy agenda that's coming. It's just going to keep getting worse. But I commit to you guys, there's no bad questions, and we'll run every question you have to ground. And you need to both show each other a little bit of grace here, because it's a bit overwhelming right now trying to wrap ourselves around everything that's coming before us and then getting your questions answered that you deserve to have answered. So I appreciate your cooperation. I appreciate my staff for working extra hours. I was in at 6:45 this morning. I was not the first person in the city building, so everybody's working really hard to get the city back on track. So thank you to everybody for that. With that, I am done.
Thank you, Mayor. May I entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned. You can still catch a football game.